which game do you think is your best right now, and why?
I think it might be Pot Limit Omaha.
Really?
I really enjoy it. I think it's a great game. I really wanted to play the 1500 today, but obviously
You're at another final table.
I was at the final table, so. But yeah, Pot Limit Omaha.
What is it about Pot Limit Omaha that intrigues you? And
it's just it's such a different game, you know. It's not a limit game, and all the limit games are basically about playing cards and everything.
Very mathematical.
It's so much like the jump between limit hold'em and no limit hold'em. It's kind of like the jump from no limit hold'em to Pot Limit Omaha. It just completely changes. Your cards almost don't matter at all, except in just a few situations. And it's about playing the player and making good laydowns and good reads and everything. And it's such an aggressive game, but at the same time, I don't think it's ever going to really take off as No Limit Hold'em did, because like if you have one person who's really bad at Pot Limit Omaha and they've decided they're going to play like 5-5 at a casino with like 20,000, and No Limit Hold'em blowing through 20,000 playing 5-5 would take years if played live.
That would take some time.
In Omaha, it could happen in a week.
Is that swingy?
Easily. It's not even just swingy. You can get your money in so bad, so many times. You can get your money in twice in orbit, drawing stone dead. Like if you have like a no limit hold'em mentality.
Okay.
So, like the players who just don't understand the game are going to lose a quick 20,000.
What types of mistake do they make?
Not folding aces basically ever. Like they see aces and they think, oh, no limit hold'em aces. Like if you are a no limit hold'em player playing like somewhat deep stack and you never fold aces, it's a mistake, but it's not that big of a mistake.
All right.
In Pot Limit Omaha, you need to be able to throw away aces pre-flop in certain situations. You need to be able to know that on the flop, basically, if the flop comes bad enough against two people, you need to just check and fold your aces immediately.
Okay.
It's such a game about board texture, just knowing, like...
What would you say is a bad flop if you have two aces? What kind of flop would you get away from?
If the flop comes 10, 9, 8, like all suited, like not even that, just like I've check folded aces on like a king jack 9 board, just like check fold, because you know that your opponents, like if they don't have you crushed,
they're drawing.
Yeah, they're probably a favorite over you, because Omaha, everyone says it's such a drawing game, but at the same time, you have to make sure that you have a good draw too. And when people put you on aces, that goes out the window. They immediately just like put you on aces and will get in with any pair and any 3 live cards, and they're a big favorite over you.
Especially if they know that you're not going to be able to get off the hand.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're in there flipping coins for like thousands of dollars and you're not ready to have a bankroll to sustain that, then you'll go broke incredibly quickly.
Well, let's talk about the tournament you just final tabled. We talked about the $2,000 buy-in, Omaha 8 or better. How did that event go for you, like from the beginning? How did you make it there with pretty short stack the entire way, no?
At one point during the first day, I had a very large stack. And at one point during the second day, well, it was actually weird. Both days, the first level, I lost half of my chips, like almost immediately. So I had 2,000 early on day one.
Would you say that's through fault of your own or just through getting cold decked?
I may have made a few mistakes trying to force things, but at the same time, Omaha 8 is a game where it's not really whether or not you see a showdown, it's just a matter of where the money gets in, basically.
Okay.
You can make some good folds, don't get me wrong, and a lot of the good folds come pre-flop. But at the same time, like, it's basically about getting value from your hands and not losing a lot with your second best hands rather than getting away from hands. Because it's a limit game. You can flop so many hands and so many possibilities. You're getting huge odds on every street. So I was down to 2,000 the first level and built it back up to 10,000 in like less than an hour. It was I scooped like 5 or 6 really big pots in a row. I ended the day with about 20,000. And then day 2, I lost half my chips in the first level. And then got it up to 40,000 in the next hour, scooping a ton of big pots. I wish that happened today too. I started today really short, 33,000, with the stakes going up to 6 and 12,000, so not very many chips. I got it all the way up to about 130 or 140, and then I just couldn't pull a chip out of a pot, basically. And it's going to happen. That game is a very swingy game in a tournament, and the people who run really good and scoop lots of pots are going to have a lot of chips.
Yeah. So what did you think of the caliber of players at the final two tables? Do you think it reflected what it should have been at that point in the tournament?
I think there were some very good aggressive young players who were probably a bit experienced in the game, and I think there were a few older players who have a few big leaks in their game, especially in a tournament.
What kind of leaks did they have?
They cannot get value from their big hands, or they're too scared to put in that last bet on the river for value. I saw a lot of people checking behind with yeah, exactly, like people with aces, like dry aces. All the lows have missed, all the draws have missed. The guy's probably going to call you with top pair, or even worse. You know, I've gotten called with middle pair, no low, no, nothing, several times. And when they check 3 times against you, your aces are good. You have to get that extra bet in there. The average stack downstairs is something like 10 bets or something. So one big bet is a lot of chips. And I understand that it sucks when you bet and get called, but that's what hand reading skills are for. I mean, you have to know that your hand is good, and you have to know that the guy can pay you off with worse. And that's a big part of the mistakes that I see people making in limit games.
So how do you think your hand reading abilities have improved since you've begun to play more live?
I think it has.
Or people reading abilities maybe would be more accurate.
Yeah, definitely. You know, I don't like using live tells just to make a decision. Like, I'm never going to use a live tell to go against what I feel my hand reading thinks their hand is. Basically, I said that poorly. Like, if my hand reading tells them they have the nuts, I'm not going to
say, oh, they look nervous.
Look at a live tell and say, you know, oh, I think he's bluffing now. But at the same time, if my hand reading skill is a little murky, like he has either has the nuts or nothing, but man, he looks nervous. You know, like he's doing weird stuff. Like, I may look him up, but I'm definitely not going to let the whole thing hinge on a live tell.
And as you play more live, it'll probably progress, and you'll start to trust your live tells more.
Yeah, definitely. But at the same time, you know, I feel like a lot of live tells where people end up making a great call or a great fold, they're probably, at the same time, part of it is just luck. Because
there's definitely truth to that.
If you flip a coin, it's going to be right, you know, some of the time. Yeah. So I feel like you can't let it all hinge on that, but it's definitely not something you can ignore. And you definitely have to try to cover up your own live tells. You have to figure out what you're doing.
Do you think you do that well?
I like to think I do, but as you know, it's not like I'm consciously doing any of it anyway. So if I am doing something, you know, I'm not aware of it.
Thank you very much for coming up to talk to me, Jimmy. Good luck for the rest of the series.
Thank you.
Lizzie Harrison with Jimmy Fricke for Card Player TV.